Healing complex PTSD after narcissistic parenting. Imagine a child who learned very early that love was conditional, not spoken, not written, but encoded deep within their nervous system. They learned that safety depended on performance, that worth depended on usefulness, that visibility could invite humiliation, and that emotional needs were inconvenient. This child grows up. They become competent, hyper-aware, responsible beyond their years, and yet inside their autonomic nervous system remains trapped a chronic state of threat detection, what clinicians call persistent sympathetic nervous system hyperactivation. Their body survived, but their nervous system never got the message that the danger was over. This is the hidden legacy of complex PTSD. And healing is not about forgetting the past. It's about teaching the nervous system that present is safe. Complex PTSD or CPTSD is not simply a memory disorder. It is a neurobiological adaptation to prolonged interpersonal trauma, especially when the caregiver, the very person meant to provide you with safety and security, became the source of psychological injury. Narcissistic parents, caregivers often create environments characterized by attachment dysregulation, chronic emotional invalidation, intermittent reinforcement, identity destabilization, and developmental trauma. This disrupts the formation of secure attachment and alters the architecture of developing brain. Research has shown us that prolonged childhood relational trauma affects the amygdala, increasing threat sensitivity, the hippocampus, impairing memory integration, and the frontal cortex, reducing emotional regulation capacity, and the vagus nerve, weakening parasympathetic recovery. This results in symptoms like hypervigilance, disassociation, chronic shame, people-pleasing as a survival strategy, and a persistent sense of internal unsafety. This is not weakness. This is neurobiological conditioning. Your nervous system adapted to survive in an environment it could not escape. Healing from complex PTSD requires more than cognitive insight because trauma is not stored only as a narrative memory. It is stored as implicit somatic memory. That is why we have feelings that get triggered. In other words, the body remembers what the mind cannot articulate. Healing occurs through three core neuropsychological processes. Number one is nervous system regulation, autonomic recalibration. The nervous system must learn through repeated safe experiences that threat is no longer present. And this involves activating the parasympathetic nervous system, particularly the ventral vagal complex, which restores physiological safety. Practices that support this include slow diaphragmatic breathing, mindful body awareness, grounding exercises, safe relational connections. Each time the nervous system completes a stress cycle and returns to baseline, neural pathways of safety strengthens through neuroplasticity. And number two is the identity reconstruction, restoration of the authentic self. Children of narcissistic parents, caregivers develop what psychologists call a false self-adaptation, a protective identity organized around external approval rather than the internal truth. Healing requires gradual reconnection and suppressed emotional experiences, preferences, and boundaries. This process restores self-referential processing, allowing the brain to distinguish between survival identity and authentic identity. And this can feel unfamiliar at first because authenticity was once unsafe. And number three is the corrective relational experiences, attachment repair. Trauma that occurred in relationships must heal in relationships. Safe, consistent, emotionally attuned connections help rewire attachment circuits through a process called earned secure attachment. Over time, The brain learns not all closeness leads to harm. Not all vulnerability leads to abandonment. Safety becomes believable, not intellectually, but biologically. So if you are raised by a narcissistic parent or caregivers, please understand this. Your symptoms are not character flaws, and it was never you and it was never your fault. They are adaptive survival responses created by a nervous system that protected you when no one else did. Healing does not require becoming someone new. It actually requires becoming someone safe to your own self. Each moment you listen to your body, each moment you set a boundary, each moment you choose self-compassion over self-criticism, you are not being weak. You are engaging in neural repatterning. You are teaching your amygdala that the threat has passed. You are teaching your nervous system that survival is no longer the only option. And slowly and gently, the system that once organized itself around danger begins to recognize itself around safety. And this is how complex PTSD heals. Not through force, but through safety. Not through forgetting, but through integration. And not through becoming someone else, but through finally becoming yourself. One breath at a time, one moment at a time. Healing does happen. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that it was helpful. And if you liked it, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button and leave a comment or two for me. Thank you. Have a great day.